I can't thank the administration and members of Congress enough for supporting that, whether it be for the funding that came into Yellowstone for long-term flood recovery or some of the other parks that will receive funding. So it's great that that funding's available to us. What that's going to allow us to do is, as we go through the process to determine what the long-term solutions are going to be, and we've got the funding available to execute those options. We still have a long way to go to get to that point. And, you know, if you just look at the options that we're looking at for the north entrance road between here and Gardner, various options cost very different amounts of money. And so until we get further along, you know, and select an alternative, and we'll be doing that with public input, you know, there's not really going to be a necessary price tag per se on what we're going to spend on the north entrance long-term solution or northeast entrance or the wastewater. We'll pull all of those alternatives together. Some of them are predicated on one another. In other words, we're not going to run the wastewater line likely back down to Gardner until we determine what the long-term road alignment's going to be. So those are coupled together. But I think the fact that the money's available, you know, we'll work closely with Washington as we develop these alternatives, and as I've said, we're gonna select alternatives that are, you know, the least environmentally impacting, the least visually impacting, the most resilient to future events, best investments, and those that can be done with the least impact and the fastest. And we've got, I think, a great process that's already moving along. The public's going to see some of those alternatives in the near future. They're going to have plenty of time to weigh in. There's no shortage of opinions. Some people love this old Gardner Road and what we've done to it and would like to see that maybe improved a little bit. Others would like to see it in different locations, want to see it rebuilt through the canyon. We had, I think, 5 alternatives originally that were developed as potential areas that the road could be rebuilt. We've generally dismissed anything east of the Gardner River. So we'll look at what the public will see ultimately is a couple alternatives. One would be a modified Old Gardner Road option, which would probably rebuild the bottom 2 miles, take out the curves, reduce the grades. Another one is, you know, we will look at rebuilding through the canyon. As I've said, I'm not sure that's the most popular or the best way to go for multiple reasons, but we will analyze that. And then we've got kind of a hybrid that we're also doing some soil testing on right now that moves the road away from the canyon and kind of splits the middle between the old Gardner Road and the old road through the canyon, and we'll see what that looks like. But until we do a lot of this work to see what's really feasible and what is the best long-term option based on the alternatives or the criteria that I just mentioned, we won't really know how to assign a price tag to that per se. I am confident that whatever we select, based on this omnibus bill passing and the funding being available, that we'll have the money that's necessary to do what we want to do.
And since it takes time to plan, and there are things like EIS and other studies that need to be done, in a single-year budget allocation like this, does that money stay in a pot somewhere so that in future years you have access to it? Yeah,
it's no-year money. So in other words, it's appropriated for the purposes in which it was designed, whether it's to help Yellowstone with recovery. There's other parks that are had natural disasters and need help that are in that package. And that money will be available in Washington for those parks to tap into as they determine what their needs are as we go through time here.
And are you finding Washington to be pretty responsive to the needs here?
Absolutely. They have been from the first hour of the flood. I mean, if you recall, I mean, we spent $70 million in 4 months on repairing these 2 corridors temporarily and addressing some of the wastewater issues. Federal Highways provided the $60 million in emergency relief fund. The Park Service, the Department of Interior provided additional funding for us to get this temporary wastewater system in place. This long-term funding that we have will help us invest in whatever long-term options that we come up with. And so it's not really a set amount. We have an ample amount of funding to do what we think we need to do. And it's going to be up to us to make sure we pick the right alternatives and then put that money to use over time.
Do you have, or do you see a sort of priority list in your head? Do you have a favorite list of how you'd like to prioritize things?
A couple things. One is we have a little bit more work to do off of coming off this last summer. So it's great that we got the corridors reopened. It's great that we should have a relatively normal traffic flow from Gardner to Mammoth without length restrictions. We put a lot of time and effort last time we spoke. We were widening some of the curves and some of the things that would be necessary so our outfitters, snowmobilers, tour buses can get in with longer vehicles. And so there's a little bit of work to do on the old Gardner Road still, but that's pretty much what you see is where we're going to be until we do a permanent road alignment. Northeast, there's still work to do at Lamar Canyon to move that road in. It's still a one-way controlled traffic light, so in the spring, often I'll be back to work in that section, finishing that. And then the wastewater is a big deal, and it's the reason why the hotel didn't open last summer. It's why it continues to be closed this winter. We are still working off of this temporary wastewater solution that we developed in June. We have a temporary plant that's being constructed as we speak. We've talked about that should be in place here in the next month or two and operational. That should allow us to open the hotel into the next summer. And just like these road fixes, that temporary plant will be what we use until we get the line rebuilt back down to Gardner. And so I think priorities-wise is continuing to figure out which alternatives are viable for the long term for the north entrance road to Gardner. The sections that were fixed and repaired in northeast entrance, as I've said, are really not temporary. They're 100 times stronger than pre-flood. It would probably cost us $20 million to undo what we did this summer in the northeast entrance road. So I feel very comfortable that those sections that were affected in northeast, if we had a similar flood event, would be resilient to any future event. The question is, what sections didn't wash out that may be vulnerable to a future event? How do we proactively use some of this money to assess where those vulnerable sections are and take the right actions to armor and protect them? There's a variety of different options we're looking at. There's some sections where we might look at moving the road away from the river. My issue with that is generally we don't know where the river is going to be in 50 years. So if you take the road from the Lamar confluence with Soda Butte and move that road a mile away from the river, that river could easily be right up against the road again in 50 years. So, and that's a huge impact to build a new 2-lane somewhere. So what are some of the other things that we can do maybe to protect the existing road corridor that would probably be a lot more cost effective and a lot more expedient? And so we'll be looking at that in the northeast entrance road. We've got to do some investments in not only the wastewater system here in Mammoth, but we almost lost Canyon and Old Faithful during the flood event, those systems. And those systems are already at capacity and in some cases superseding capacity. And I think that this was a wake-up call in relationship to some of the critical infrastructure and deferred maintenance issues we have in this park. And even though we've made substantial investments in that infrastructure, we'll be taking some of this money and really ensuring that some of the most vulnerable and most important infrastructure is taken care of and upgraded.
And those, of course, protect some of the resource.
Absolutely. I mean, protecting this park is our top priority. Providing access and enjoyment is another major component of our mission. You can't host visitation without proper infrastructure in the park. And if you look at a lot of the infrastructure built in the 20s, 30s, and 40s last century, or even wastewater systems that were built in the 80s, and you look at the trajectory of visitation over the preceding 20, 30 years, 40 years, we're at max for that. I've always said increasing visitation is not going to translate to us building our way out of it. You're not going to see us, four-laning roads in Yellowstone and things like that. But there are responsibilities that we have in relationship to some of the basic and fundamental infrastructure we have in the park that are essential that we keep in good condition to host visitation properly and safely and protect the resources in case of catastrophic failure. And we almost had that back in June, not just up here in the north. And so even before the flood, we've identified those systems as needing to be repaired, and we've gotten money, aside from flood recovery money, to invest through Great American Outdoors Act in a lot of those systems to improve them. And so we'll build upon that momentum.
You were mentioning putting in measures to counter possible future flooding, and just yesterday I was reading in Ars Technica a report about how so much California infrastructure is threatened by climate change because the swings are greater. The rain events are bigger, the dry events are longer, and it talked about the entire Rocky Mountain region being affected. Do we really even have a handle on what's going to happen?
I think we've gotten better at, some of it's been reactive. We've had enough events in the national park system across the country and outside of the system for that matter to know that these events are going to continue to happen potentially more frequently, and trying to figure out and predict where that's going to happen and what efforts we need to make proactively to protect infrastructure. And remember, the infrastructure in the national park system, generally speaking, especially in western parks, was put into place in the early 1900s, mid-1900s. Climate change wasn't even a part of the conversation nationally at that point. And I think that we've gotten better at putting the climate conversation into how we invest, where we build, if we build, those types of things. But there's no question that most of our infrastructure is vulnerable considering when it was built, and we've had to kind of change how we address infrastructure improvements over time. And so I think that, if you look at this last spring, I think we had more snow in April and May than we did in January, February, and March. That is a trend in multiple places across the country. Warming temperatures and then significant rain events on late spring snow is not a good combination. And so I would say, even though we've called this a 1 in 500 year event, there will be a good likelihood something like this will happen much sooner, maybe next year, maybe not in our lifetime, but it's up to us to really figure out how we can predict and prevent the type of damage that we saw in 2022 in Yellowstone to the best degree possible.
One more thing about the road here, about the new road following up the old Gardner road route, the old Stagecoach Road. About 2 weeks ago, John Garter, he's the National Parks Conservation Association Budget and Appropriations Director. I've never met him, but I was listening to him on this podcast. And he said that the new route is designed to last maybe less than a decade. I'm quoting exactly here, maybe less than a decade, and a much larger long-term fix, much more expensive, is going to have to be done. Would you call that a fair assessment of the road?
Depends which engineer you talk to. I've had engineers tell me it's good for 10 years. I've had engineers tell me it's much, much better. Even though it was built quickly, it was engineered very well and probably better than the original road. I would suggest that the 1879 dirt road, the Stagecoach Road, had been there for 140 years. And the Roxall and HK and the engineers and Federal Highways that put the plan together to four-lane it did it quickly, but did it also with safety in mind and proper engineering. So the notion that the road's going to collapse or something in 5 to 10 years, I think it's a fallacy. I think there's going to be likely more routine maintenance that needs to occur on that road because of how quickly it was built than maybe a normal road. And we're going to see very quickly what the wear and tear looks like on that road. But I don't think that, it's like, hey, in 5 years it's gonna slide out. We do have sliding glacial soils that come from the west that there's people that are concerned about. Even yesterday, we're doing soil sampling in some of the proposed alternative locations to see what the soil stability is and how much it's shifting. And then we would need to engineer around whatever types of shifts that we're seeing, so whatever road that we build is protected for the future from that kind of thing. But ultimately, I think it's crazy to think that we're going to invest somewhere in $25 million into the old Gardner Road and then just not use any of it for the future. So I don't know that you'll see the whole road being used in an alternative, but I definitely would suggest that if we stay outside the canyon, like I said, we'll evaluate that there will be some type of hybrid that alleviates some of the concerns, gets it away from the river, alleviates some of the concerns with sliding soils, and to the best degree possible takes advantage of some of the work that we did last year. And there's no shortage of opinions about, how long can the road last, and I think, based on a lot of conversations with engineers, it's going to last for a considerable amount of time. And it doesn't mean that we should sit back and take our time on figuring out what the long-term alternative is. But I'm not looking at the old Gardner Road and what potentially, some of the opinions about how long it'll last necessarily as being the clock for determining what the new alternative alignment is going to be.
When you are looking at that road, I imagine you're going to have to also look at how that's going to affect access to the park when the final decision gets made about what the permanent road is going to look like. How does that play into those choices?
Well, that's a factor. I mean, if we're going to make this into like a modern day standard road, you really would have to look at what does that entail from a constructability standpoint. And selecting an alternative that closes the road for 3 years while the new one's being built isn't going to work. So there's going to have to be, that's in that conversation about alternatives, and it's part of the criteria that we're going to look at. We will maintain access, and this is the second busiest entrance in the park. People don't need to worry about us closing it down absent there being some other unforeseen event. But, there's no question there will probably be, if we pick an alternative let's pretend that we go back to the canyon, then you would have no construction activity necessarily on the old Gardner Road while the new alternative was being constructed. If we do a hybrid, then what people would probably see is just like a normal construction project. You would have 20-minute delays or some things like that, but we will do everything possible to minimize the impacts and maintain the access from Gardner to Mammoth. And we're a little bit in front of ourselves. Those are good things to think about. They're obviously things that we're going to calculate. But we've got some real basic things to do to determine what are really viable options. And based on the criteria I talked about, and we'll put that out for the public to weigh in on, there's no really good option. I mean, there's no option that's like, hey, this is perfect. So there's going to be some trade-offs, and I feel confident that this process that we're going to go through, we're going to expedite it as quickly as we can, will give us the best available alternative with the least amount of impacts, no matter what lens you're looking through.